All right, today I wanted to talk about something more so to see if any of you guys could relate to it and maybe help me understand it as well. Not trying to teach you anything today's video, not trying to really give any insight on anything. More so just sharing something niche and fringe that isn't ever talked about online. And I just want to see if potentially maybe some of you guys will relate. I know at least some of you do because I actually got the term from one of you who left a comment when I briefly touched on the topic in one of my videos a week or two ago about sub fives. And as I was explaining the feeling to be extra nice to sub fives, I kind of segued that into the feeling I get, but I couldn't articulate a particular word or phrase to associate with it. But someone in the comments perfectly did. I forgot your username, but credit to you. You called it ma guilt. And that's a perfect term. I don't know where you got it from, but I'm glad you brought it to my attention because it perfectly encapsulates something that is frequently on my mind and I've always wanted to discuss, because it's a very particular feeling that I get in certain scenarios, particularly when there's a sub five and he is with me in close proximity, especially if he's engaging with me and he's with a partner, a girlfriend or a wife, or just somebody he's trying to see romantically, or even friend zone situation where it's clear that he has some kind of interest in her. Maybe she doesn't have interest in him. Those are the worst scenarios. Those are the times when I experience this niche feeling the most. And in a nutshell, it's when the girl seems to, clearly look at you in a certain way that she's interested, and from your own understanding of genetics and being black-pilled, being in this community for so long, inevitably you comprehend precisely why this is happening. And even without the behavior of the partner, even regardless of that, just from your understanding of genetic facts alone, I often do experience this feeling. And usually I'll try to make myself appear less attractive in terms of my behavior. And especially when I'm in the elevator, I'll try to crouch down a little bit. I'll try to, lean down on the side of the elevator to appear a little bit shorter in stature, close my frame a little bit, and tuck my chin a little bit like this. And it is extremely unlikely, probably not the case ever, honestly, that the sub five would acknowledge what I'm doing, but that doesn't matter. I don't care if he appreciates it or not. It's just something that I feel better doing. I feel like it's necessary for me to do up to a point. There's an inflection point that I'm going to touch on soon where this completely changes to the complete opposite behavior. We'll get to that. But first, just to explain the concept, it's like when the girl, say you're in an elevator, right? And you notice that the girl might look at you a certain way, or the girl might try to converse with you in a very platonic way, not a flirtatious way even, but a platonic way. And oftentimes women do this when they're in deep with their boyfriend and they're kind of bored with him. And they kind of do this to test him. It's like a test to see if he's going to get jealous or insecure because they're comfortable enough to do this. And it's usually not even the case that the girl is actually interested in me. Usually it's more so she's just testing her boyfriend. Sometimes though, it is the case where the girl is acting scandalous and she does want to perhaps do something, inappropriate. Sometimes that's the case, but usually it is just the case where she's testing the man. And it could just be a platonic comment, but you could see that she's engaging more in the conversation more than he is. And whenever this occurs, I always feel pretty uncomfortable, and I feel a lot of sympathy and I guess pity towards the man. And because the man has done nothing wrong to me, because the man has not submitted, but just acted neutral and done nothing wrong, and thus he's not an enemy of mine, I feel bad about it. It makes me feel like uncomfortable and sad about it almost, because I acknowledge what's happening. And so usually I'll try to, lean down a little bit or tuck my chin a little bit, but also with my verbal skills or behavior. Look, I might be autistic, I am retarded, but I know how to act. I know how to act neurotypical. I know how to, have a good one later. I know how to act. This cute girl who always sees me here. Kind of lost my train of thought. Motherfucker. Fuck. Anyway, okay, I got it. So usually I will also change my vernacular. I'll change my speech patterns to seem a little bit antisocial, like I'm not really good at talking. I look at my phone a lot, pull out the good old weather app, and I'll make it very obvious and clear that I'm not really trying to engage too much and extend myself to the conversation. I'll be polite, of course, and answer any questions or whatever, but I'm not trying to further the conversation and then ask her questions right in front of the boyfriend and all, because I don't want to do that. So I'll try to seem antisocial, and I'll also try to turn up the beta notch, which is incongruent to how I am naturally, but I know how to act. I know how to act extra polite, raise my pitch of voice a little bit. Like if the guy gives me a compliment, oh my God, thank you so much. You're so nice, man, thank you. Instead of keeping it nonchalant. I know certain ways to behave with the speech and whatnot to make myself appear less masculine or less dominant, more just purely platonic, and antisocial, and maybe even nervous. I know how to turn up that nervous notch to appear like I'm almost afraid to engage in the conversation. And so that's what I'll do while the man is acting neutral. Again, not in a submissive way. Some guys do that naturally though, which I find interesting. Just recently, a couple days ago, I walked into the elevator dressed pretty nice, and hair was done nice and all. I get in the elevator, it's 3 guys, all buddies, and one of the guys had his wife or girlfriend there, and she looked really, really good, like Stacy Light, I'd say. And as soon as I walked in, the guy was like, this guy's dressed really nice. He's like, God damn. And this immediately, when I notice things like this, it's yes, on the surface, a turbo normie is gonna be like, bro, he's just being nice, stop overthinking it. He's literally just being a normal person. Why are you so fucking weird, hyper-analyzing all this stuff? And it's because you gotta hear me out. There is truth to these little nuanced behaviors. When a guy does something like that, it's like he's trying to demonstrate to his girlfriend, look, I'm so secure in myself. I'm so okay with how I am, even though this guy might look better than me and you're about to be in an elevator with him in close proximity for a while. Let me just preface this interaction that's about to begin inevitably by making it clear I'm very secure with myself, secure enough to compliment another man. And like, I notice these things when guys do this, and he never had to do that, but because he did that, like, now it's on another level. Like, now I really want to be extra nice and like not try to fuck with his dynamic at all. And the girl was like, I had my dog with me, and the girl was like asking questions about the dog and all, and I'm trying to be polite, you know, answer the questions and all, while at the same time not overly engaging, if that makes sense. And this is probably like, this is like autistic behavior, you know, like hyper analyzing all these kinds of things. But I really do believe that there is some layer of truth beneath this autism. I believe that there is something there, and it just makes me feel a little bit better to be extra nice in those scenarios, just because I don't want to fuck with his dynamic. I don't want to ruin something for someone else. I don't want to come up in their conversation later at night, like, because that kind of stuff does happen, you know, if there's like some kind of, like dick measuring contest or whatever that goes off in the elevator, which I'll explain an instance I saw once where one guy who I'm friends with in the building, he's super nice to me all the time, but another guy who I'm also kind of friendly with, also always super nice to me, they were in the elevator together with me, and one of the guys had his girlfriend with him. And the guy who, both of them, like, I'm used to always being very, very nice, but this guy who didn't have the girlfriend was like, he was like talking in a competitive way. He was like, because they were both wearing Travis Scott Jordan 1 Lows Phantoms, and they were like, he was like, oh, I see you got the Phantoms. He's like, yeah, I got 3 more of them at home. It's like, you didn't need to say that. Like, what are you doing saying that in front of a guy and his girlfriend? Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, are you like trying to like flex in front of her, like impress her? Like, this guy had no awareness. And it was so out of the norm for me when I saw this, because this guy is usually so nice and polite and respectful, but in front of this other girl, it was like, he got competitive or insecure or something, and then they started talking about cars, and it was the same kind of conversation. And I saw that, and I'm just like that behavior is just so ridiculous. And I could tell the other guy with his girlfriend was smart enough to notice this too, but he didn't stoop to that level. He was just being polite and be like, that's cool, man, you know, good for you. Anyway, all right, kind of lost the train of thought where I was going with this. Okay, so whenever there's a situation where like the guy is, you know, being extra nice or even neutral, I always feel the need to try to make myself like appear like less attractive, whether that's in physically or like with my behavior as well. And it's just because I don't want to interfere with what this guy's got going on, because this is an innocent guy who's done nothing wrong to me, seems like a nice guy or whatever. Yeah, so that's like the kind of like mob guilt or whatever, that feeling when like you could notice someone's genetics, you notice, you know, your genetics, and it's on another level, especially if you notice certain behaviors in the female in that situation as well. Now, this all changes like this as soon as the guy goes from either the submissive or neutral state to attempting to be dominant. We talked about beta testing in a video. Highly encourage you to watch that video so you understand the concept of beta testing fully. So sometimes if you're overly nice like this and you're like trying to like make yourself appear smaller and all, some guys will take this as weakness and they'll try to capitalize on this and try to seem like more attractive to their girl. Maybe their relationship is on the rocks or whatever, you're trying to impress her, and they might try to beta test you, like say a little jab at you or something. And the fucking second that this happens, it's like you took my kindness for weakness. Literally the millisecond that happens, like all my sympathy and pity just dissipates, and it doesn't just go to a neutral state for me. Then it turns into, I'm gonna sound like a terrible person, because I am a bad person. I am a bad person, and I'm not afraid to admit this to you. I'm just gonna be transparent and honest to you guys that this is I don't know if it's a flaw, I don't know, whatever, you know, this is just something in my biology, stuff that I feel is out of my control. I can't change how I feel, but the second the guy becomes disrespectful, even like a slight beta test or whatever, I notice it, and it makes me want to basically dominate him. It makes me want to then pursue that woman. And like this kind of stuff happens often in club scenarios or bar scenarios. Like I could be being extra nice to a guy or whatever, and he'll like put his arm around me or some shit. And it's just like, you just fucked yourself, you fucking retard. Like, why would you do that? You didn't have to do that. You got greedy, you stupid motherfucker. And then so once that happens, then I'll start, you know, acting in a flirtatious way towards this girl. Then I'll start making eye contact with her, and then like, if it's just like they just met that night or whatever, like I'll even try to target that girl in specific to take her home. Even if another girl I was talking to that night was more attractive, I'll find more pleasure in taking that girl home, because I'm taking her from a guy that disrespected me or like acted in that kind of way towards me. It's like because he's like now my enemy. But I never have this desire at all with a neutral interaction. Again, the guy doesn't need to submit. It doesn't have to be that. Like literally just a neutral, platonic interaction. I never get this desire. I don't want to engage in that behavior. I don't like it. It makes me feel guilty. But as soon as the guy like does something disrespectful, he like tries to, you know, put his arm around me in like a rough kind of way, or he takes a verbal jab at me, which is like a clear beta test that I notice. It's like instantly it fucking changes, and I'm just like, I put the mask off, and it's like, you know what? You could go fuck yourself, fucking loser. So I'll admit that's something about myself that is not good. I feel like I'm a bad person for that. I'm willing to admit it, but it's not something that I'm controlling. It's like, it's just like you don't really control your desires, you know. They just are. Like that's just how you're wired, and it's a combination of your genetics along with some environmental factors as well, all of which are beyond your control. If you've seen some prior videos, like my video on free will on the main channel, you know, I believe, or I know that there's no such thing as free will. Any physicist knows that everything's 100% deterministic. It's actually what one of my tattoos means. It's a pretty way of saying it, fate. And my other tattoo, the tattoos actually have a dual meaning. I'll make a whole video about the depth of the tattoos. Because on the surface, they just look like regular fuckboy tattoos, and they're intentionally designed like that to have a dual purpose, to appear surface level to some people, and to people like you guys, to have a deeper meaning, because you don't need to be deep to most people you meet. Anyway, sorry for that tangent, but yeah, there's no free will. Everything's 100% deterministic. The point is, like, I can't control that I'm wired like this. Like, this is just how it is. But it doesn't change the fact that it does make me bad. Like, that's not a virtuous trait, I don't think. You can share your opinions on it, but I admit that it's probably more of a bad thing. But I wanted to point out how there's that switch. If somebody is my enemy, it's like, if they're my enemy, then I will actually relish in the the dominance. I will relish in the act of like I'll even, if I have an enemy, you know, like I may you know, make a particular effort to try to pursue his partner, like whether it's through like Instagram DMs or like when I see her at a bar or something, and it's just something that I then enjoy. But I would never ever in a million years enjoy this with a neutral interaction, like an innocent guy who's done nothing wrong to me, who's done nothing bad in society. He's like a good person. It's the complete opposite then. It's like I'm like then disgusted by the idea of it. Like I have no inclination to do that whatsoever, and I will try to avoid it at all costs. But if it's my enemy, you know, whether it's an enemy in business or someone who said something disrespectful to me or whatever, then it's completely different. So there's like that switch moment. And I'm very curious to hear if any of you guys could relate to that as well. So one, let me know if you could relate to the ma guilt concept in itself. And let me know if you could relate to that switch when somebody, you know, kind of takes your kindness for weakness and then tries to like beta test you or something like that. And then you just, it's just like a complete switch. And it's like all of a sudden you do desire that. And it also doesn't always have to be personal. Sometimes if there's just a person whose character I really think is very bad, and like a character that I find very despicable, then I may still relish in the idea of potentially taking their woman. But if it's just like a regular guy, a virtuous guy who seems to just be trying to go through life and be a good person, like I never have that desire at all. It's the complete opposite, and I will always try to make myself appear inferior to him to the best of my abilities. But like I said, there's some fuckers who will like see that as an opportunity. Like they see your kindness for weakness, they see it as an opportunity to capitalize, and they'll try to like seem tough in front of their girl or whatever. I'm trying to think of a recent example of something where it could have went both ways. So like one example, okay, I was at the Amber Room with my boy. It's a lounge, club type vibe in New York City. And I went up to some girl because she was looking at me, and I started, you know, making conversation. What's up? I started making conversation with her, and you know, it's going well. So my boy was ordering a drink, so I went up to her friend and I like reached over, put my arm on her. I'm like, hey, like you should get to know my friend, you know, trying to be a good wingman, set her up with my boy. And within like 20-30 seconds of me talking to her, and she was allowing me to talk to her, she was engaging with me fully. She wasn't telling me to stop or nothing like that. Then this guy comes rushing over. I didn't see him rush over, but I imagine that was his energy. And he like grabs my shoulder, and he's like, hey, like we got a problem here? We got a problem? What's the fucking problem? We got a problem here? Like super, super high energy and all. And I didn't say a single word. I didn't have to say a single word. I didn't even open my mouth. Not a single word. I just kept my hand here in case he was gonna try to throw a hook or something. And I just looked at him. And we're making eye contact. And just from the fact that I didn't go like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know this is your girlfriend. Or just because I didn't do that. And I was just ready to engage with him if he was gonna try to throw a hook at me or something, or try to elbow me. Like the fact that I was just ready for whatever he had, he immediately capitulated within like 5 seconds. It was so interesting. Like within 5 to 7 seconds, you could tell like his his anxiety is just through the roof, and he starts saying to the girls, like, what's going on? Like, what happened? And the girls are like, relax. Like, he didn't know. And then he immediately changes his whole behavior to like, bro, I'm sorry, my bad, bro, my bad. I'm a little crazy, bro. I'm sorry. I thought you were hitting on her or whatever. And I haven't said anything, and I'm just looking at him straight faced. And I'm not extending myself to say like, it's okay, bro. Like, don't worry. Nah, cause like at this point now he's my enemy. At this point I'm pissed off. I'm not about to like be like, it's all right, bro. Don't worry about it. As I would, for someone that I sympathize with, but because he's my enemy now I'm just like, I'm ready for him to fucking do something, and I hope he does. And then he could get embarrassed in front of the girl because it would be his own fucking fault. So I didn't feel the need then to like say, it's all right, bro, don't worry about it. Like, we all make mistakes, because the way he came up to me, it's like, are you fucking serious? Like, it didn't like emotionally piss me off. Like, I wasn't emotional about the situation at all. It's just like, okay, you're gonna treat me like that? Fine. Like, okay, let's see. Because I don't care about losing fights too. Like, I don't mind at all. I know as a man, I'm a realistic person. I know that, circumstances, you could get lucky with a certain hook, you could slip or whatnot. I don't care. Like, if I get fucked up, it is what it is. If this guy happened to be more trained than me, I don't care. It's whatever. I'll post a video soon, which I uploaded. I uploaded it unlisted like 2 weeks ago. I titled it like "Programming to Make You Stop Being a Bitch," and it talks about the biology behind why you shouldn't be afraid to lose a fight, and it's gonna help you be a lot more in control of situations like this. But in a nutshell, just don't be afraid to lose a fight, So, yeah, I was ready. I was kind of excited for it because, like, again, like, I don't need to win the fight. But it would be pretty exciting to just, because if I'm self-defense, I'm in the right. He's the one coming up to me, being aggressive towards me. I'm in the right. I love a good justification to fight because it's like, I've done nothing wrong. You have to be very careful with being in the justified right, You can't just be going out picking fights. You can't get baited into a fight. Like, if you get famous or whatever, people are going to try to do this all the time, and you can't fall for it. You can't fall for getting baited into a fight. But, God, this was another fucking tangent. Sorry, guys. Anyway, the point is, like, the guy was acting disrespectful. He tried to beta test me and failed. And consequently, he ended up looking like a fucking bitch in front of his girl. And he was, like, super apologetic afterwards. He was like, bro, like, let me buy you a drink or whatever. And the fact that he was, like, this submissive, like, so submissive, like, it compensated to, like, a slight degree to where like all right, bro, I'm not gonna like pursue your girl now and like try to fight you in front of her or some shit. I'm just like, all right, I'm letting this go, just get the fuck out of my face. And he's like, yeah, no, of course, bro, like, you have a good night. But it's just like, it's that switch, I would have never wanted to embarrass the guy in front of his girl. And by the way I embarrass him is by not doing anything. Just my willingness to not apologize, just my willingness to just stand there and just be ready for him to assault me because he's being emotional. Like, that's all I had to do. I didn't do anything. Be careful with extending yourself like that. That's how you get into trouble with any situation in life, extending yourself. we got to make a whole video on extending yourself, because that's how you get into trouble. When you extend yourself to where you're in the non-justified right, where you wouldn't have public opinion on your side. And there's other aspects to extending yourself too, like, okay, so for example, like dating apps, right? Girls will immediately, like, there's already, you're lowering your value because you're throwing her a like or just existing on a dating app. Just the fact that you're using a dating app, that's a bit of extending yourself, right? Or when you approach a girl or whatever, like, you've extended yourself, and that's where you can always run into trouble. And this is why some people are so afraid to approach girls. Some people are so afraid to put themselves out there, because to do so, you are extending yourself, and that's where risk in life comes from. But you have to be willing to extend yourself in certain scenarios. You have to be willing to take risks like that. We'll make a whole video on this and how to be careful with extending yourself and to never overextend yourself. Like that guy, Chud the Builder. I haven't really seen much of his content, so I don't have enough context on his purpose, whatever he's trying to do, or if it's trolling. But he is, from what I understand, he's extending himself because he's the one instigating those scenarios. He's overextending himself by instigating those scenarios. It would be very different if he was the one being approached. Like, let's say he has a reputation online already of being, you know, a racist guy. Then if people are coming up to him and being assholes and provocative, then he's not extending himself, and he can retaliate with whatever he feels is right, and he won't be extending himself. It's a tricky thing. So yeah, that was a little fucking tangent, but it's an important thing that we'll talk about. And that guy was a fucking idiot at Amber Room, because he extended himself like that, and I literally didn't have to do anything. That's the position you find yourself in when someone extends themselves to you. You have that luxury of being on the other side of it. You have the luxury of being that bystander who is minding his own business. And that has a lot of leverage. You know, that's a really great high ground to be on in any scenario. So yeah, I think that about, because I went off on a tangent again, that about sums up everything that I wanted to discuss with you guys about not only mob guilt, but also that inflection point, because it's only up to a certain point. That guilt, that mob guilt immediately goes away if somebody acts in a disrespectful way. But again, like, if someone's just a regular guy, just a innocent guy, being normal,
So you're gonna get a bunch of texts.
like, I will really go out of my way to not fuck with his dynamic, and I really just hope for the best for him, and I don't need him to appreciate it. I don't need him to acknowledge what I'm doing or whatever, because they're not. Oh, I ran into a guy who actually did this. When I was in an elevator again. So this guy, he lived on my floor. He was a prior NBA player, but he was like a third string or second string or whatever. Like, he wasn't a popular NBA player, but he had the physicality of an NBA player, and he transitioned to being a gym fitness guy. So he had like good frame, good physique and all, and he was probably about 6'4", 6'5", or whatever. Me and him were in an elevator with another couple, and the couple was a lot shorter. They were like 5'4". I want to say the guy was maybe 5'6" or so. And I noticed that this guy was acting in this same way. And I doubt this guy's black-pilled. He seemed very neurotypical. I doubt he was black-pilled. But when you're a fitness instructor, you understand, at the very least, the importance of physicality, of course. And so I noticed this guy is like, he's like intentionally leaning down in the elevator like this and doing the same kind of behaviors that I would do. And it was just interesting to see. It's like, okay, so I'm not the only one who feels this. I'm not the only one who does this kind of stuff, because it was so unnecessary. Like, when it's just me and him in the elevator, like, we're just standing normal, you know? But when it was with them two, he like was crouching down. He was like trying to make himself appear smaller. And I respected that so much because I knew what he was doing. So let me know if you guys ever do anything like that in the comments. Again, not really, this video is not to like teach you anything. Like, maybe you learned some stuff on the tangents I went on, but it's more just to yap and see if you guys relate to any of this stuff, if you could understand these autistic thoughts. The algorithm has a great way of connecting like-minded individuals. So even though few people think like this, I do believe a lot of you guys watching will understand this. And that's why I've been having so much fun making these videos, because I can't talk about this kind of shit in my normal life. But yeah, that'll wrap it up. See you guys later. As I'm walking back home, I figured a good term to remind you of when it comes to that inflection point: a casus belli. If you guys watched my video on how it's titled like "It's Not Your Fault," and how like people will search for casus bellis on sub-5s. Casus belli means like reason for war. Like, I used it in the historical context in that video of like how when the US wanted to go to war with Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin incident is, you know, the conspiracy is that it was sort of fabricated, or not fabricated, manufactured to be a casus belli, so there was a reason for war. And yeah, casus belli is a good term for that inflection point. It's like, you know, it's someone gives a casus belli, yeah, then fuck all the mock guilt at that point. Once there's a casus belli, we'll see if we end up using this term more often now.